Good morning. Welcome back to the Countdown to Ironman Lake Placid video series. My name is Joe from Endurance Mentors, and we are 18 weeks out from race day. I hope everyone's training is going great. Hope it was more consistent than mine this week. I came down with a bit of a head cold last weekend, which typically wouldn't slow me down, but this one really did. So I ended up taking Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday completely off from training. Got back in the pool on Thursday and just did some very light, easy swimming, and swam again today and tried to pick up the intensity and felt a little bit better. So hopefully I am good for the weekend. Today we're going to be continuing our series on nutrition. We're going to be talking about just diet and nutrition as we go through an Ironman training plan. One quick caveat here is that I'm going to just be describing some of the things that I've experienced, some lessons that I've learned. Just know that this is an incredibly specific topic, and realistically, we all have to come up with a nutrition plan that works for us and is ultimately giving us the energy to get through our training cycle. So, nutrition, when it comes to triathlon or training for Ironman specifically, is one of those topics where there is just tons of available information online. And I'm in no position to say if one is better than another. All I know is kind of where I've landed after spending basically 7 full years going through Ironman training cycles. First, though, I wanted to include and just show you all this website. This is Triathlon Magazine Canada. I've leaned on this for different articles over the years, and as you kind of figure out what nutrition works for you, I've actually found this to be a really good resource. If you go through the Triathlon Magazine Canada, it's also not behind a paywall, so you get all of these blog posts for free, which is also really nice. I've always found this advice to be very reasonable, very sensible, and I would certainly encourage you to use it. And I'll be happy to link to it in the description as well. So, like I said, there's lots of information out there about nutrition as it relates to Ironman training, and there's no right or wrong way to do it either, right? We have athletes out that are vegan athletes, vegetarian. We have keto athletes. We have athletes who time their carbohydrates and really get defined in their eating plans, and then of course everything else in between, right? Um, what I'll share today is just what where I've landed after all this time is I've realized that after trying some of these different approaches, I've kind of found that they're not necessarily for me. Where I've landed through all this is just eat a balanced diet, okay? And then then fuel all of my training every single day. And I just try to keep it simple, just like that. A quick example, I went down a rabbit hole a couple of years back about timing your carbohydrates, right, and trying to increase fat oxidation by maybe fasting before a workout. So maybe I wouldn't necessarily have like a bowl of oatmeal before, a morning run session or ride. And while that was fine for maybe that day's workout, one of the things that I realized, especially as my training progressed and the hours and intensity increased, is that you're not only eating for today, but you're also kind of eating to be able to get up and do it again tomorrow. And for me, I would just in my busy life, just like you guys, you work full time, family, training, it just gets really kind of busy. And when I used to kind of alter my diet that way, I would go a couple days and it would be fine, but then I would, have a late work meeting and then I would get kind of thrown off a little bit. And inevitably I'd be in a position where I could like feel my body sort of lacking the nutrients it needed to like get up and get that workout done. I would bonk in a workout or whatever it may be. So I've ended up coming full circle from, really being kind of interested in this sort of thing to now I'm full circle the other way. And I just kind of eat the plain old way that, my mom told me to eat when I was a kid, keep it simple, keep it balanced, eat your fruits, eat your vegetables, carbs, proteins, no restrictions on any of them. Just try to eat the right amount, for what feels good for you at that time. And then, of course, pairing that with fueling every single workout and training really then that allows me to make sure that I'm taking in the right amount of nutrients during my training. Um, Again, this is a great resource, and I would certainly encourage anybody to utilize it, and take a look at different things that are available to you, because there's a lot of interesting data out here about how this pairs with performance. So I encourage you to look into it, find what works for you. um, and now I think we'll move on to just some pointers that I've learned over the years. So I wanted to share one more resource here with you all, and it sounds kind of silly, but I wanted to share a cookbook with you. I have no ties to this. We have we didn't write it, or we're not, getting any kind of an incentive here. But um, one of the things, one of the principles that my wife and I really follow when it comes to nutrition and training is to cook your own food, regardless of which training methodology work. I mean, sorry, which nutritional methodology works best for you in training. The real answer here is that you're probably not going to be able to replicate that when you're going out to dinner. So a good kind of rule of thumb is to just cook your own food. Okay. And we've gone down rabbit holes with different cookbooks, like health and nutrition cookbooks, etc. And some of the meals in those just kind of leave you kind of hungry, and there's really not enough calories in a lot of the meals. But we were gifted this cookbook, the Runner's World cookbook, from an open water swimmer friend of my wife's. And I have to say, there's a bunch of recipes in here that we just make over and over and over again that really work well for us and are healthy, and they sustain you, especially as you get closer to the race and the training hours become a little bit crazy. So I just wanted to share it, and I hope it helps. If you want to pick it up, I'm not kidding you. There's probably 10 to 12 recipes in here we make all the time that are really sustaining. Okay, so in addition, just some questions that we've had and just some tips that I've learned over the years when it comes to implementing a nutrition plan. Okay, so number one, share the cookbook, prepare your own food. Um, a question that we get a lot is, should you increase the amount of food that you're eating, kind of like on a per meal basis, as your training increases? So this is a really good question, and it ties into what I think is ultimately the most important kind of principle to live by when it comes to guiding yourself in nutrition, um, and that is to listen to your body. Okay, your body will tell you if it's hungry or not, and especially when you're training for an Ironman, I would say 100% fuel your body when it's telling you that it's hungry. It seems, might seem kind of counterintuitive, but if you're on a really regimented plan, sometimes that can kind of get lost because you think like, okay, I really have to stick to this plan so that I'm eating perfectly to train perfectly. To me, the honest answer is your body knows. And if you're hungry, go ahead and eat. But that being said, one of the reasons that we landed where we are, where we just eat kind of like eat a balanced diet and then fuel every single workout. Well, that fueling every single workout, that actually the fueling amount increases as your workout increases, because we're just fueling through everything, right? So if it's a 1 hour bike ride, we are fueling for that 1 hour bike ride. If it's a 4 hour bike ride, we're obviously taking in a lot more fuel during that bike ride. So what we tend to find in our household is that our nutritional intake from just like a breakfast, lunch, and dinner tends to pretty much stay the same. Where there's variability is how much we're taking in during each workout. But again, if you just listen to your body, that is the number one thing you can do. Okay, number two, or maybe that's three at this point, is when you are thinking about adjusting like a nutritional strategy. Like right now, we're 18 weeks out from the Ironman. Everyone's training loads are increasing, your intensity is increasing. Now's probably not the time to go changing things up if you have something that's working for you now. I would say definitely, if you're interested in something, let's say you're interested in becoming a vegan athlete, I wouldn't be making that switch right now. What I would do is probably wait till the off season, give it a shot, try to apply it during the base period, see if you can kind of work out the kinks, and then go from there. So if you're going to make some nutritional adjustments, make sure that you're doing them kind of early on in your training process, and not necessarily try to reinvent the wheel when your body already has a lot of strain on it. If you have something that's working right now, stick with it through the race. And, listen, if this is your first time and you get the bug to do more of these Ironman races, then change it up for the next time. I think that's probably your best bet. Okay, lastly, I wanted to just touch on kind of principle number 4 is I would not be counting calories or cutting calories or anything like that. If you're this far in your training, the honest answer is we're all probably not taking in enough calories at this point. Everything is just going to get longer and more intense all the way through the race. We talked about weight last week, and sometimes that can kind of get into your head with like, oh, I should be eating less. I would not be trying to do that when you're training for an Ironman. Take in the calories. Your body needs the nourishment. And the reality is we're getting to a point where the volume is so high every single day that it just really, you need that nourishment. You need those calories. So I wouldn't be cutting, any calories right now. All right. Again, thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. I hope these basic principles have helped, or at least are helping you think about how to approach a nutritional strategy. We are 18 weeks out from the Ironman. I hope everyone's training is going really well. Next week, what we'll do is we'll touch on alcohol and the endurance athlete. And then the week after that, we will start to get back into more training specific items, and we'll talk about nutrition during training. And then we'll get back to course preview stuff. Thanks all. Have a great week.